Hey, this is Brandon Cobble with Coastal Woodworking and Concrete Design, and I'm coming back at you on a video we did a couple of weeks ago that was called No Joiner, No Problem. It's gotten over 70,000 views at this point, and we had quite a few questions, we had quite a few emails on why it would work one way, it wouldn't work another way, that sort of thing. So today what we're going to do is we're going to address all those questions, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do it and also why it won't or will work in a certain way. Before we do that, we've got to mess up a little bit of wood. So in our last video, when we said no joiner, no problem. So if you've got a board, it's obviously all messed up. Now just grab some scraps out of the scraps pile so we can put something together. Show how you can take this board and actually make it straight on both sides by using a level. Now the point of using a level is so that your board can rest on the edge of the level the entire way through. So the reason it doesn't work, one of the questions we got is, why don't you just use the fence? I mean, the fence is also straight. You could just use the fence if you had the straight board, but what happens is when you come into the fence and you've got the crooked and you're pushing, the saw is going to want to follow the bend in your board. So as you come across the deal, you might be able to keep it somewhat straight at this end, but you see how you're bumping into the sides, you're not going to get it around the corner, you're not going to get a true straight edge because the fence is going to want to follow the crooked board. And even as you're coming out the other side, when it's pushing over, there you go. So the board's going to follow the bend. You're not going to get a straight edge with that. So by using the level, you put the level right up against the edge and you push the two boards through at the exact same time, like this. Now it's using the level as a straight edge against the fence. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut this board, we're going to join it up and get two straight edges on this thing. By using your level, you've created a straight edge on this side of the board. Now, it's just as easy as pulling the board over. Now you can use your fence up against it because now you have an actual straight edge on it to create the straight edge on the other side. Created a perfectly straight and jointed board. Again, we got so the answer to the question on why can't you just use your fence, which is a straight piece, is if you run a non-straight board down this, your fence is going to want to follow all the bends in the board. So that's why it doesn't create the jointed board. You have a solid flat edge just like you do now on this particular board. If you put it up against a piece like this, it references your solid edge, which references your straight fence. Some of the other questions I got, why can't you just extend your fence, in other words, so that you can keep the board straight going all the way through? Theoretically, that would work, but the only thing is you have to have the length of this board. So if we use a longer board, say 8 foot, the 8-foot board, you would have to have a 16-foot minimum fence, which really and truthfully have to be a little longer than that because of your blade, but probably 17.5-foot fence, so that when you start this particular board and push it through, that it starts on the fence and it's got to finish on the fence. In that case, you could use an actual fence to do that cut because it's always going to stay married to the straight edge of this particular fence. When it's not, just like previously, it's going to roll through and it's going to want to follow all the bends, and that's what's going to cause the wobble in it. Because I'm going to go ahead and cut the left side of this board off and show you why even extending the fence doesn't work. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set my level up on the other side of the table, creating the fact that the fence is extended on that side. And I'll show you that we're not gonna get a straight board just by having a fence long enough as the board coming out that end and not on this end. So even with an extended fence, if you look down the board, here we're at 1/8 of an inch. Here we're at 1/16 over an eighth, 1/4 of an inch out. So what happens is the fence is going to follow this. If you don't have a straight reference edge from start to finish on it, you're not going to get a straight edge on this side of it. So you've got to have a board that you've either previously jointed that has a perfectly straight edge, or you've got to use a level. Now you can buy a level, I believe, up to 8 feet long. We don't have one in the shop, but this is what we use when we do shorter boards and things like that. If we don't want to pull out the joiner, we actually do have a joiner, but this is just really, honestly and truthfully, it's faster and it's easier when you've got short boards just to run them through and do that. All right, lastly, to round off this question that we got, having the fence as long as the board, using the fence as a straight edge if it's the same length or longer than your board. So I grabbed a shorter board. What we're going to do is we're going to run this board through, and we've got the longer fence, so we make sure it stays straight all the way through, and then we'll flip it over and do it, and it'll show you that yes, if you have a fence long enough coming in and going out as your board, you don't need to use the level or a straight edge on that side. See, when your board is short enough that it goes in, it stays on the fence the entire time, you can create a perfectly jointed board. Again, so the answer to the question at the very end, yes, you can just use a fence to accomplish a straight edge. If you had a fence long enough coming in and leaving the blade of your board, if that makes any sense. So I hope that answers a couple of questions and that showed you a couple different ways that you can actually joint your boards without having a joiner. If you like the content that you're seeing so far, please like and subscribe and come back for more. If you have any additional questions on how to do this or why to do this, please ask in the comments section below. We'll answer it. If you want to see some other videos about some different things on how to get around not having a tool that you don't have in your shop, because believe me, we all start with not having every tool that we need. So you've got to have some different ways that you can accomplish and get the job done, even though you don't have the specific tool you need. We do quite a bit out of this shop, and again, we started about a year ago in a garage. So we had a miter saw, a circular saw, and a few additional tools. Granted, now we've got the Craig saws, and we've got the table saws, and we've got arm saws, and all the rest of that stuff, but we didn't start there, and it's completely possible for you to build something the same way that we did. And it's also completely possible for you to do something at home as a hobby and accomplish it without spending all the money on the big tools. Thanks for tuning in. Like I said, if you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to this video, and let us know in the comment section below what else you would like to see from us. My name is Brandon Cobble with Coastal Woodworking and Concrete Design, and we'll catch you on the next one.